56 years ago, this summer, when a president from Texas signed the Voting Rights Act into law, LBJ, he said that it was a triumph for freedom as huge as any victory that has ever been won on any battlefield. Federal protections to guarantee the promise of the 15th Amendment was as momentous as Lincoln and Concord, as significant as Gettysburg, as definitive a victory for democracy as D-Day on the beaches of Normandy. That's what he said. And yet a half-century later, we have less voting rights protections today than we had on August 6, 1965. And we're seeing the greatest attack on voting rights since the end of the Civil War. And this must change now. And the answer to the problem must meet the challenge. You cannot declare that the nation is sick with cancer and then simply diagnose all it needs is an aspirin. Alabama was nationalized in 1965. We are gathered in Austin today because the voter suppression efforts being carried out in this state house are not just about Texas. They're about not just about black folk, but they are about poor and low-wealth voters, black voters, Latino voters, white voters, brown voters, Asian voters, disabled voters, women voters, rural voters, urban voters. And this is why we march now. This is why we take moral action now, because the infrastructure of this democracy is being threatened now. This casket represents that extremists in state houses all over the country are trying to have a funeral for our voting rights and living wage. They're trying to bury them, but we are the moral resurrection, and it will not happen on our watch. We stopped the physical violent resurrection in January. Now we must stop this political dangerous policy, retrogressive states' rights insurrection now. 49 states, they've already introduced 400 bills to try to suppress the vote. 18 states behind me, 18 states have already passed voter suppression measures designed to surgically remove the voter access that 56 million people used in this past election other than voting on election day. This is not Jim Crow. This is James Crow Esquire. He went to school, got a law degree and a degree in statistics, and he has come back to try to take out every progressive voice in this nation. Now, in the South, we know this because they used to call it the Southern strategy. For 40 years, they stirred up a culture war designed to split black and white voters. They even had a name for it, positive polarization. Split the nation, and we will live in the divide and win. And so with that strategy, the corporations and the Southern aristocracy, they got rich. Poor white folk in Texas and across the South got low wages, along with black folk and Latino folk. And they got less union protections and less access to health care and less farm aid. But they got politicians who lied and told them they cared about their values. But when you look out here today and see the thousands, and you look at the diversity in this crowd, this is the America they are afraid of. This is the America that dispels the Southern strategy. Or maybe this is the America that will bring another Southern strategy, a strategy to lift all people from the bottom. This is what the corporate elites are afraid of. It's not new. It's only been regurgitated and vomited up and repackaged. It's only here because of the demographic shifts that are scaring people, and they know they cannot hold on to power. They had a cult leader who became president. He didn't create the lie, he charismatized it. And with corporate help, he financed it, all for the love of power and the love of money. This is why our purpose for being here is to say to this nation, now this must stop. We cannot have it on our watch. My job here today is to make sure the purpose is clear. Pass in the filibuster now. Not only has it been used to hurt black people, but it was used to block women's suffrage and block civil rights and block corporate protection for people against corporations. End it. Pass the full provision of the true John Lewis bill, for the People's Act. When the Voting Rights Act restoration bill is finally passed, pass it and expand it to states beyond just the South. Pass $15 living wage for the 32 million. For the 32 million low-wage essential workers that saved us during this pandemic and went to work first and got infected first and got sick first and died first. It's now time for them to get first-class wages in America. Protect our immigrant brothers and sisters who were on this land before many of us. Now we must be clear. The right time to do right is right now. That's all I came to say. This is about the possibility of a more perfect union on which everybody is lifted. And from the bottom, we lift the whole nation. This is about helping make sure that our policies are rooted in our fundamental constitutional rights and our deep religious and moral values. Now is the time. This is the time. This is about doing what's right. This is about doing what's right. And all who believe in love, all who believe in justice, all who believe in truth, all who know how to stand together, all who believe in challenge and nonviolent direct action. Let me hear you shout, the right time to do right is right now. The extremists are standing together. The same people that want to suppress the vote are the same ones suppressing wages. The same one cutting public education. The same one blocking health care. The same one fighting, dealing with the climate. The same one pushing a war economy. The same ones that are hurting the least and the left out. If they are mean enough to stand together, we ought to be smart enough to stand together. The right time to do right is right now. Now finally, Mr. President, Biden, we love your speech in Philadelphia, but you got to come to Texas. And stop just talking to those politicians who tell you what can't be done. Come talk to the people in Texas. Come talk to them in all of their richness and diversity. Then go to Arizona. You're the president. Can't no senator tell you where you can go. Then go to Manchin's district in West Virginia. And then, like Lyndon Johnson and John Kennedy and FDR and Lincoln, go to the well of the Congress and make it clear we will not pass physical infrastructure until we pass protecting the infrastructure of our democracy. Mr. President, you were elected by a multi-ethnic majority. Senator Schumer, you would not be the leader without a multi-ethnic majority. Your president, you only won by 40,000 votes in 3 states. You won by 70 million in the popular vote, but only 40,000 in 3 states. Mr. President, the time to act is now. Let me tell you something you might not be used to hearing from a preacher, but ain't no need to have power if you're not going to use it for good. The right time to do right is right now. And so they want, Freddie, a political insurrection. But we're here to declare a moral poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. It's time to start robbing and start reviving and releasing and lifting up right now. Too many people have suffered. We need change right now. And our legacy will be as the people. When the time to do right was here, we stood up. We were counted. We stood together. We came together. We fought together. We went to jail together because we knew down in our hearts the right time to do right is right now. Somebody say, America, right now. Justice, right now. Right now. Truth, right now. Love, right now. The fullness of democracy, right now. Equal protection under the law, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. Somebody say yeah.